G'day, hi, and welcome again. All right, just a little note before we get into this. We're going to be talking about the IACV valve today. I'm going to try to clean it out, see what kind of condition all my vacuum hoses and all that stuff is in. So I'm on job number 2 anyway. So first job, just to finish up, something I didn't show you was the O-ring in the last video. But before I put it back together, I'll show you that I cleaned up the O-ring and see, now I just got it sitting in there. The reason why I haven't disconnected it, not to get too long, is that connector, I fought with it and I don't want to damage it and have like a 30-cent part keep me from riding the season because it takes 3 months to come in. I'm in Canada. Triumph, Triumph is a British bike built in India, so it could take a while for parts to get here. But we're dealing with the IACV valve today. And one other thing I'm going to say too before we get into this, all the pictures and everything of everything I do with this bike is going to be on my blogger. My link is down below. It might not lead you right to it. You'll have to search through my blogger to find it because I post a lot of blogs. So it's just too much work for me to take care of 2 YouTube channels and get technical with this stuff. And then also to manage putting the proper link to every little thing. But if everything will be titled TT600 Motorcycle Doctor, that's what you're going to search on the internet. You will find me. I'll make it easy for you. So even if you can't find it on my blogger link, which might just keep going through all the previous blogs, you'll get all the pictures of everything I'm getting into, and then obviously here on YouTube you're going to get all the videos. So it's kind of like a win-win. And you might as well subscribe to me. Shameless plug here. But you might as well subscribe to me because there's going to be nobody else on the planet that's going to detail everything and document every little part of their TT600 as they're working on it. Now it's going to be a while before I get into the engine. Hopefully I don't have to do that. But if I do have to time the valves and stuff which I'm going to do it anyway at the end of the season, whether it needs it or not. But if when I do, this is the guy that you're going to find that's going to take you through it step by step. Doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. It just means if I screw up, you'll say, okay, that's how not to do it. And thank God that guy showed me how not to do it. But if I get it right, well, then you might get lucky and whatever and learn something from it. But the point is that there's everything on this bike. This is why you need 2 motorcycles. Is everything on this bike. I would love to strip this bike down to every last nut and bolt and start over with it. And just torque it. For example, when you're in there, clean up as much as you can. Keep a rag close by. Clean up as much as you can when you're in there. Because like hoses and stuff like that, the dirtier it is, the harder it is to see stuff. But when I put this here is not a regular Allen nut or nothing like that. It's a Torx. And I don't know if it's a Torque 15 or whatever that's on there, but that came off way too easy, like to crack that little nut there. So that could be something going on with it not being, it's just wear and tear on a motorcycle rolling down the road. Things get loose, right? You lose parts, things happen. But I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to clean it. Now, the IACV valve is the intake air controller valve, okay? And what it does is it has all these little vacuum hoses like this, and what you really want to look for is cracks on these boots. Now this one goes into the air box. I don't think it's hooked up to the IAC valve at all. It's probably just an air box drain, but it might actually be a sensor back here. I'm trying to track that one back. I don't have a manual, so I have to basically kind of take a rough guesstimate of what each part is and track it back to what it's connected to, and then kind of make the judgment call of what it is. Now, I'm mechanically inclined. It's just this is my first time dealing with fuel injection. There's a lot of extra little hoses and wires in here that I'm not used to, but fuel injection is just a fancy way of saying powered carburetor under my for my opinion. It does the same thing as a carburetor, it just does it more precisely and whatever, and it's more electronic rather than having jets and stuff like that. But this controller here, what it does is when you got when your bike's cold and it's starting up, okay, it will measure the air fuel ratio for a cold start, and then it's hooked to, obviously probably hooked to temperature sensors. As the temperature comes up, it regulates the fuel constantly. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but according to Men in Machines or Men in Motors or whatever, that basically the impulse, the fuel injection impulse, calculate 3 million times a second. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't even know if that's possible. But that's how fast it calculates. So basically, if you're riding along and then you dip down into a gully where the air temperature is different, your bike will this is what adjusts. And it's basically, when I get it apart, you'll see what I mean. It's basically just like a plunger. Basically, let in more air, let in less air. That's all it's really doing. In other words, it's an electrical slider jet type of thing. I don't know what the mechanical equivalent would be exactly, but it's like an air bleeder, so that you can regulate your fuel. And there's a hose from each one, a little vacuum hose that goes to each throttle body. Now so independent, each throttle body is independently controlled. Now these things are a bane of a many TT6. Any fuel injection system pretty much is going to have these. I don't know about the extreme modern fuel injection. Maybe they found a better system than this, but basically anybody with a fuel injection system is going to have this. They can get corroded inside. You can see there's a tube here. This goes up into the air box. So as the air comes in through it, it's going that way. Then it goes out through these little vacuum tubes. Get yourself some, just like masking tape or whatever, and a marker or something so that you don't mess up what tube goes where. Maybe it makes a difference, maybe it doesn't, but typically it's probably set up so that each cylinder gets the proper amount of air and it, with the proper hose. So I don't think you can just take this hose that goes into this throttle body and put it on that hose without problems. So don't do that. And if you want to make sure, which hose went where, when you pull it apart, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'll remember. You won't remember. There's just too many details to remember. That's why you bring your clipboard, you write things down. But you can also mask things off, such as, for example, you'd mask this one off to tank, to tank left side or right side. There's supposed to be one on the right side, but I don't see it on my bike, so maybe somebody forgot to put it back in. Maybe the bike was built on a Monday or Friday and they forgot to put it in to begin with. But the port is there for it, but it's not on there. The other thing is as I get in there and pull it apart, you'll see this is going to be a multi videos. I might be able to make one big video out of it, but depends how long it's going to be. I can imagine this is going to be like, just watch it part 1, part 2, part 3. It might be easier for you. If these boots crack, okay, that's going to allow air in past the valve here. So what ends up happening is that it can't regulate. And that'll give you rough running, or maybe just won't run at all. And a lot of TT600s, particularly the 2000 to 2002 models, any TT600 past 2001, they did rectify the idling problems a little bit with the fuel injection. But this was Triumph's first attempt at challenging the Japanese 4-cylinder super bikes, right? 600cc super sports. Sorry. And it's their first attempt at it. So yeah, there was some design flaws and some bugs, stuff you got to live with. It's not a bad bike. I think they did really good. It is a terrific engine when it's running buttery smooth. It's so smooth. But if you're getting roughness, a lot of times, these are your culprits. Here's these cracked little boots. I don't know what the proper adapter name would be for that, but if you have the manual, I'm sure you can write it down below. I don't have a manual, so doing things without a manual is kind of, I'm limited to what I can do because I don't have the tolerance specs and stuff like that. But I'm going to take that valve off. We're going to have a look at it. I'm going to clean it up on the inside, because sometimes, this thing's sucking in dirt and air and all the time too, so it might be just gummed up and not working right that way. And I know the same thing on old cars and stuff like that. People will clean these things out. They are a delicate piece of equipment, so be careful with it. Like everything, everything is precision based, so means precision based means delicate. Okay, that's the precision means delicate. Robust means farm equipment. Don't worry about it. You got tractors out there that, like, that thing is robust. It's probably got 4 pounds of dirt just sitting in the oil pan. You know what I mean? That just makes the piston, shines up the cylinder a little bit more, and it's fine. It's fine. But something like this, yeah, very, very, very delicate. So I'm gonna get that valve off there. That's where it is. It's on the left side of the bike. You got one hose goes to the tank. This other, I guess, is a crankcase breather. Bingo. Yeah, that's I found my crankcase breather. A lot of that stuff always goes back to air boxes and stuff like that. Why? Because if anything does come up, it just throws it in there. It's like, okay, well, where do we put it? You put it on the ground? No, because if something does come up through the crankcase breather and you spit it out on the ground, it's going on your tire while you're riding. So you don't want oil on your tire. So, but a little bit going, cycling back through the engine, just make it run a little bit smoother. You know what I mean? Whatever. So you get the idea. But it's also, too, these hoses are a good idea to flush them out. Take them off, flush them out. Maybe your crankcase breather's getting vapor lock in there or stuff like that. But, yeah, maybe I won't deal with it this time around. But while I got it apart, you know, I'm probably going to be down for the next 4 days, particularly trying to film everything as I go. But I'm going to get cracking on that. Then after that is I'm getting into the fuel injectors, see if I can clean those up. I don't know what ohms resistance to test my fuel injectors. So if I knew that, I could test them to see if they were all still good. They're 180 some odd bucks a piece. The only thing I really want to do is just pull them apart, clean them. That's all I'm really doing is cleaning stuff. I'm going to clean out this and see if that helps. And then I'm going to do the plugs after that. And then the airbox last, and maybe the tank. So I might be doing 5 or 6 things to the bike. I'm going to put it back together, see if that made the difference. If that didn't make the difference, then I'm into the valve timing. While I'm at the valve timing, I'm taking off the throttle bodies. Means if I'm into that, I'll do the valve timing. If it still runs rough after the valve timing, it means I've got another problem. It could be a temperature sensor, could be anything else, whatever making it run a little rough. But I'm not going to run the bike into the ground, so it's not bad yet. I'm trying to get the problem early before it gets into something really dangerous. And I've already explained the problem a few times, and it's a problem that is common with older bikes and even these, particularly these bikes. So I'm going to get cracking on the IACV valve. And yeah, you just have a look. So you're looking at its Torx that's going to be in there. So the thing about that is it's going to be, I don't know what size of Torx that is. It looks like a, we'll get out in the light here.